The Wisconsin Badgers defense next year might depend on these portal players.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. I am your humbled host, Ryan Harings. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this community, for watching this show. I really appreciate it. Thank you for helping making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. That's awesome, and it's amazing, and it's a testament to all of you. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. The college football playoffs are here. FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all playoff long, so visit FanDuel.com, get your college football playoff profit boost every game day. Today's episode, we got some of your thoughts, your questions, including, did this team do enough, and will the real Badgers basketball team step up? More thoughts on that Michigan game, the Michigan-Wisconsin Badgers game, including something remarkable that Nick Boyd did that we got to hit on. But first, will this defense line hold up? You know, going into this portal season, we talk so much about quarterback, offensive line, receiver, and I don't know if we've spent enough time talking about defense line, about that group of hog mollies up front that keyed one of the best parts of the Badgers team last year. This rush defense was consistent. It was good. It was fourth in the Big Ten. They gave up 3.4 yards per carry. This rush defense was the most consistent and best part of this team for the entire season, period, bar none. At least until Poyser and Cooper Catalano came along in that inside linebacker room, this defense line was really good. Look at what you've lost this offseason. You lose Daryl Peterson, who was far and away led your team in tackles for loss, had 11.5. He was a great edge setter all season long. He was consistent, really good. Got better against the pass as the year went on, but a really good defensive rush setter. You lost Brandon Lane, who I thought came off a maybe not a disappointment, but didn't play a lot last year. He really stepped up this season. You lost Parker Peterson, who gave you 120, 130 rush defense snaps. You lost JVR Suggs. You lost Ben Barten, who was maybe the best guy on that front. You lost Jamel Howard into the portal, a depth piece. You lost a lot of guys up front, and a lot of guys that you counted on last year, a lot of guys that played big roles. And again, what was the best part of this team? And the thing with the defensive line, you have disruptive guys on this team now. You've added cornerbacks, which is awesome. The cornerbacks don't matter if the team is consistently in second and two, third and two. I shouldn't say that. Obviously, they matter. But your ability to cover matters much less if you can't hold up in the run. You got an edge rusher, Nicholas Clayton, I think a lot of us are excited about next year. Doesn't matter if the team is consistently playing second and two, which is what they did 2 years ago. That's one of the reasons this team had so few TFLs and so few sacks. It's because the opposing offense was always ahead of the chains. They were always dictating. When you're ahead of the chains, you can dictate offensively and defensively. If you're ahead of the chains on defense, you can dictate as well. That's what the team was able to do more of this year. That's why the defense was better. You got to hold up in the Big Ten. You got to hold up in the run game. You got to hold up in the trenches. And again, you lost some dudes. Ben Barten is probably going to be at least on an NFL roster next year. Mason Reiger, who it was also a great pass rusher. He was one of your best rush defenders. Daryl Peterson, Barten, Parker Peterson. You've lost a lot of guys, okay? Who did they bring in? Have they done enough? Is this unit good enough? Will it hold up this year? It's a big question mark. It really is. And you bring in Junior Poyser. Let's go through who they brought in, talk about if we think it's good enough. This is a massive question mark right now to me. You bring in Junior Poyser, 6'2", 310 pounds, coming over from Buffalo. 5.5 sacks as an interior guy last year. Again, 6'2", 310. When you look at his statistical profile and you look at his PFF grades, this is a better pass rusher on paper than a run stopper. But he's got great size, 310, good explosiveness. And that explosiveness helps you blow up run plays. Maybe he's not the guy, the sawed-off tree stump that just kind of holds the point. Maybe he blows up running plays by getting penetration, by blowing up pulling guards, by taking on the lead back in the backfield, those kind of things. He's going to have to be a big part of this rotation. I think at a minimum, Poyser is a guy who's coming in who's going to give you a really nice interior pass rush, which is one of the most difficult things to find on a defense line is an interior pass rusher. I think he's going to give you some of that. But again, a player who statistically has been, and from PFF, has been better in the pass rush than the run defense. He is a player that took a big jump from 24 to 25. So there's a chance there's another jump in him going from 25 to 26. He's a really nice get. He's somebody that would kind of come to a JVR Suggs coming in. A player that played really well last year, another guy you have to replace. Poyser's a big part of this. I think he's going to be one of your top interior guys. He's going to be a pass rusher, going to have to hold up against the run. Then you go and get a Jake Anderson. Jake Anderson's really interesting. Coming from Eastern Illinois, 6'5", about 310. This feels like the Ben Barten replacement. This feels like the guy that coming in is going to take that part of the defense, the I don't want to say dirty work, but take on a couple blockers, muck up the middle, big frame. From a frame standpoint, they're similar. Really good rush defense grades last year from Jake Anderson, 74.1 or 74.2 from PFF. Has 1 year left, has played a ton of ball. That was a really good FCS program. I think they went to either the semis or the national title game last year. So this is a player at a lower level, but this is a player that's played in some really big games. He's played a ton of ball. He's got a big frame. I think this is your Ben Barten replacement. And there's definitely some hype around him. Some people within the program seem to really like him, think he's a bit of a sleeper. So that's two bodies I think you're going to count on. Then you go get him and Russell the fourth, West Virginia. Kind of a body in the rotation, which you need. Again, that's what Parker was last year. That's kind of what Brandon Lane was last year. He's a guy coming over. He's played a lot of ball, good size, good frame. Not a great pass rusher. He's got, I think, 5.5 sacks over the course of his career. But coming from West Virginia, he's played power 4 ball. Probably figure him into the rotation a little bit. Maybe he's like a Brandon Lane type. And then Justice Boone, coming over from Arkansas, formerly of Florida, has played in the SEC his whole career, had 3 or 4 starts at Arkansas last year. He's 6'4", 280. Think of him as kind of your edge setter, somebody that you can help control the outside tackle. You can slide him inside some as well. So that's kind of your 4 primary guys coming in here. You got Junior Poyser, Jake Anderson, Hammond Russell, Justice Boone. Stepping up, you need Charles Perkins. Now, Perk is coming back. He was in the portal. He came back. Good on the Badgers for retaining him. He needs to have a big year this year. He needs to be a part of that rotation. Dylan Johnson, going to be going into his junior year, former wrestler. We talked a lot about him. This is a big year for him to step up. Then you still have Xavier Ponu. You have Torrin Petaway. You're going to need at least 2 or 3 of those guys to step up. And not step up to be stars. You need rotational pieces. You need guys on the assembly line that you can plug in and plug out, and the assembly line just keeps moving. You're not going to replace Mason Reiger with these guys. You're hoping Nicholas Clayton can replace Mason Reiger to some degree. But can these guys get you to 2nd and 9? Can they get you to 3rd and 7? That's the key. That's the key. You got to have it. Because, again, that was the best part of this defense last year. This defense that rallied, this defense that played. This defense finished 4th in the Big Ten in rush defense, despite not always having a great time of possession advantage because the offense was so bad. Despite playing one of the toughest schedules in the country, playing some really predominant running teams, this team still held up. This team defensively still was really good on the front. You got to replace those guys. Do I think they did it? I think we'll see. I think Poyser's a big get. I think Jake Anderson's a big get. I think the other 2 I talked about, Justice Boone and Hammond Russell, I think they're depth pieces, but you desperately need those guys. You're going to need 150 snaps out of each of those guys this year. And then you're going to need more from Jake Anderson. You're going to need more from Poyser. If you get that and Perkins steps up, I think you're going to be okay. I don't think it's a great defensive line. I think you're missing a dude probably, unless Poyser can take another step. If Poyser can do in Wisconsin what he did at Buffalo, then he's a star. Because there's not many interior defensive tackles that can get 5.5 sacks. It's just a big step up in competition. I'm not sure he's going to be able to replicate what he did at Buffalo in Madison, but I do think he's going to give you burst. He's going to give you some disruption. He might be the star on the interior. I'm really looking to see if a guy like Xavier Ponu, who was a nice get a year ago, if he can kind of step into a role like Dylan Johnson did last year. I think that would be helpful. All right, let's take a second here. Let's come back. You guys in the comments, let me know how you feel about the defensive line rotation. Some more thoughts on that Michigan win, including something that I thought was kind of crazy about what Nick Boyd did. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick second for our friends of the show over at FanDuel. Also, a quick second to say thank you for tuning into Locked On Badgers. FanDuel is here for you, giving customers even more ways to get in on the action every single day of the college football playoffs. Because right now, every college football playoff game, FanDuel users get a profit boost waiting for them. So if you feel really good about the Indiana, if you're really good about Miami, whatever it is, or really good about certain moments in the game or building parlays around certain players, you can use this profit boost to get even more money, build a parlay around it. You can apply profit boost and go after even bigger winnings. And when you win, FanDuel pays out instantly. You know that. We know that, which is perfect for college football playoffs. FanDuel is the best place to get into the action all playoff long. Visit FanDuel.com. Get your college football playoff profit boosts every game day. Okay, let's talk some more hoops. Because we have to talk again about this Michigan win, which this is the best win of the year by any team. To go to Ann Arbor, to beat 14-0, number 2 Michigan, this is the best win of the year. And I went back and I wanted to highlight a couple specific players and a couple specific moments. So let's start here. Let's set some context. Michigan on defense this year is giving up 0.779 points per play, points per possession. That's in the 100th percentile. That's at the top of the chart for all of Division One. All 300 plus teams. Michigan's given up 0.779 points per possession on defense. The Badgers in this game, the starters, the Wisconsin starters against that incredible Michigan defense, and they've been challenged. Michigan's played real teams. Against that incredible Michigan defense, the Wisconsin starters averaged 1.203 points per possession. That's elite. This is what gives you hope if you're a Badgers fan. If you can engineer offense like that against maybe the best defensive team in the country, statistically and from an eye test, I've seen Michigan play it before. They have just throttled good teams. If you can engineer offense at that level, you can beat anybody in the country. It's not just they hit some shots. They engineered shots. There's a difference. They engineered good looks. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Let's go through the starters, though. So again, for context, when I read off these starters numbers, for context, remember, Michigan gives up 0.779 points per possession. Nolan Winter had 1.8 points per possession. Absolutely elite efficiency for Nolan Winter. Absolutely elite. And it's why I continue to say you got to get Nolan more touches. You just have to find a way. Right now on the season, he is 98th percentile in the country in points per possession at 1.279. Nolan Winter, 98th percentile in the country. And last year, he was in the same ballpark. This is just a continuation of what he did last year with more minutes. He's been incredibly impressive. It's not talked about enough how efficient and how good he's been. You got to give him more touches. I think you got to run through him even more because when he takes shots, when he's the action pivot point of the offense, really good things happen. Really good game against Michigan. Didn't shoot a ton. He was battling his butt off. I think you got to get him more shots. Aluskas, 1.417 points per possession in the Michigan game. He was the big swing. Coming into this year, he was at 0.939. Against Michigan, he was 1.4. That's the big swing you got. That was the unexpected offensive boost you got. You got it from Aluskas. Really big game from him, obviously. Everybody saw the shots, but they were good shots. They were in rhythm. They were comfortable. He was finding space. He was moving subtly with the offense to find that space as players drove. That's kind of a veteran skill that he already has. Probably picked that up playing in Europe. You can't just stand still. The ball is a camera. You got to make sure the lens can see you. He does that really well off ball. You had Nick Boyd, 1.158 points per possession. That's about where he's at the season. But again, against this Michigan defense, that's really impressive. John Blackwell is at 1.130. So again, every one of these players so far of the starters is well above 1 point per possession against the Michigan defense that again was sub 0.8 points per possession defensively. All four of those guys played great, efficient ball. Then you get to Andrew Rohde. And Rohde's a guy that I like his game a lot, but you need more from Andrew Rohde. You need more. Rohde was at 0.6 points per possession, only took a couple shots, had 2 turnovers, 1 assist. Not a great game for Rohde. I would like to see him get more into the offensive action as a decision maker. I've talked about that, but against more athletic players, he struggles. That's a struggle point for him. More athletic players can push him out on the perimeter. He's not a great ball handler. He's a great passer, but he's not a great ball handler. Not a great game for Rohde. That being said, that overall 4 of the 5 offensive starters were borderline elite offensively, and Nolan Winter was off the charts. 1.8 points per possession. Now let's get into this other thing with Nick Boyd that I teased. I wanted to go look. So Nick Boyd had 6 assists, 0 turnovers, again, against a tremendous Michigan defense. And I wanted to look at how these assists came because not every assist is the same. Not every turnover is created equal. Not every shot is created equally. Not every assist is created equal. You can get an assist on a 2-on-1 break where you just kind of dump off a bounce pass. It's the easiest thing in the world. They get 2 points and you get an assist. Or you can dribble up, pick and roll, snake the defense, get somebody on your hip, draw 2 to you, and then throw a one-handed cross-court pass for a 3 where you really manipulated the defense. You got 3 points out of it. You were able to carve up a really good half-court defense that was set up. That's a different level of offensive manipulation. That's a different level of creativity. That's a different level of playmaking. Nick Boyd in this game, his playmaking was incredible. 6 assists. Every assist led to a 3. Think about that. Every assist he had, because again, this is where I talk about there's different levels of assists. You could have 6 assists that lead to 6 layups. Nick Boyd's 6 assists led to 18 points, and they were almost entirely at points created by him. Let's go through them one by one. So Nick's first assist comes off a pick and roll, left hand. This is something we talked about pregame. If you listened when Rajiv and I talked, Michigan does at times struggle against the pick and roll ball handler. Boyd comes off, draws 3 people, flips a beautiful, this is an incredible pass. I'll clip it and put it on Twitter. Flips a beautiful left-handed cross-court pass to John Blackwell on the move for a 3 early in the game. Beautiful time. Unbelievable pass, cross-court pass coming off that pick and roll with 3 people on him, or at least 3 people gravity pulled towards him. Beautiful pass. That's the first one. Next one, Nick Boyd. It's a quick decision, so it's Blackwell in the corner to Nick Boyd. Again, one of the things I really liked in this game was the quick decision-making. Get the ball. Am I going to shoot, pass, or drive? Pass, let's go. So Blackwell hit Boyd. Boyd instantly kicked it right off to Winter for a 3. Just 1-2, ping-pong the ball around. The defense can't react. Third one, really beautiful play here. Nick Boyd is snaking a pick and roll. So he's kind of taking the pick and roll, getting in the paint, manipulating the defense, drawing eyes, turns around, kicks it back to Aluskas for a 3. That was his third one. Fourth one, forced the switch. So he drove baseline, came back out, got Mara on him. So he forced the switch with the center, drove that, drew 3 people, kicked it to Aluskas in the corner for a corner 3. Again, this is high-level playmaking at this point. These aren't easy assists. This is Boyd forcing the switch, driving the mismatch, drawing the defense. Beautiful pass right into the shot pocket in the corner for Aluskas. This is Nick Boyd's best game of the season. I know he had the 35-point game earlier where he had no turnovers. He was incredible at manipulating a much better defense tonight. I think this was his best game of the season. He was awesome. He was absolutely awesome. His 5th assist, he drives into the paint. Beautiful footwork, beautiful patience. He draws 3. Younger point guards would probably get swallowed up there. They would force a shot. He instead just kind of has a reverse pivot, controls his footwork. Aluskas fills in behind him at the top of the key. He kicks it back. Bang. 5th 3 that he is assisted on. He's creating these offensive shots. That's what I said earlier. It's not just that they made shots, they manufactured shots. And the fulcrum of the offense, the piece that was manufacturing those shots, it was Nick Boyd. It was Nick Boyd again and again and again. And Michigan just didn't have an answer. They had no answer for Nick Boyd. When they overhelped, he killed them. And he didn't kill them by forcing shots. He killed them by doing what we said all year. Can you make the other players better? Can you get them involved? Nick Boyd did that with unmerciful, just merciless efficiency. That's merciless. He did it. He was really good. I was trying to string something together. It didn't work, but he was absolutely incredible. And his 6th assist, Brandon Carrington came up, set a bit of a ghost screen, right? So looking like it was going to be a pick and roll action, didn't set it. He sprinted off to the perimeter. Boyd has 2 because they kind of blitzed him at this point. This is later in the game. They're trying to take him out of it. Boyd reads it really quickly, skips it over to Brandon Carrington. 3, boom. 6 assists to 6 3-point shots, creating 18 points right there with no turnovers. Just absolutely phenomenal. Control the offense, understanding what the defense is trying to do to him, patience, not forcing things. Listen, if they play at that level offensively, the shots are going to fall if you manufacture good ones. It's people. I think here's my frustration sometimes. I think people dumb it down too much when they say live by the 3, die by the 3. No, you die by bad 3s and you live by good 3s. That's what this team was able to do against Michigan. Sure, they still hit some tough ones. I think that Rhodey one was kind of tough. Carrington hit kind of a tough one. But they also just hit some wide open 3s because they were able to manipulate the defense. That was Nick Boyd primarily. And then they were able to move the defense, bring them into the paint, and kick it out to find open shooters. Unbelievable job by Nick Boyd. Going back on the rewatch, he was incredible. Let's take a second here. We're going to come back with some of your thoughts, some of your questions, including was it smart for this Badgers football team to target a lot of power 4 guys? That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick second for our friends of the show over at Wayfair. Wayfair's phenomenal. I was literally on Wayfair earlier today, looking for something for my room. The new year is here. It's the perfect time to reset your routine, refresh your space. And if you're spending more time at home, which a lot of us do, winter, it might be time to upgrade how it looks and feels. It might be time to upgrade the love inside the home. And that's why you should turn to Wayfair. It's a one-stop shop getting your home back on track, which is a perfect time in the winter. From bedding to mattresses to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair makes it easy to start the year fresh. Wayfair has everything you need for a full home refresh all in one place, whether you're updating your living room, organizing your space, upgrading your work, whatever it is. Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find exactly what works for your style and budget. I've picked up couches off Wayfair. I picked up end tables. They have cabinet organizers. They got everything, and it can completely change how your bedroom feels. You can make it cleaner. You can make it calmer, more put together. You can breathe a little bit, and it's easy. The delivery's smooth. Everything arrives exactly as expected. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track this year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now. Shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Okay, let's get some of your comments here. We had comments off the YouTube chat as always. Winning Gambler said, so many portal guys unproven at the Power 4 level makes me a bit uneasy about what next year may hold. There's a lot of wild cards here. There are. I found it interesting. They really seem to focus on Power 4 players. Now, granted, maybe the biggest get of the entire portal class is Colton Joseph coming from ODU. But you look at the corners, it's Arizona State, it's Ohio State, it's Oklahoma State, it's Florida State. You pick up an offensive lineman from Oklahoma State, Ole Miss, Arkansas. You get defensive lineman from Arkansas. You get another one from who's the other one that they picked up? Arkansas or West Virginia. You get a linebacker from Kansas. I mean, you can kind of go on and on. A safety from Iowa State, another safety from Mizzou, running backs from Iowa State and TCU. Now, you have a few outliers for sure, but for the most part, they seem to prioritize Power 4 guys. And a lot of these Power 4 guys, to Winning Gambler's point, haven't been stars. A few of them, Abu Sama, I think makes sense. Kaweki, the center, has been a solid center. But it does feel like they're rolling the dice a little bit more on Power 4 guys. Do I like that? I'm going to be honest. I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all. Last year, I think I was more about go get hungry FCS guys that maybe slipped through the recruiting cracks, but they have the physical tools and they performed. I just don't think there's a one size fits all. You can get really good players from the FCS level. You can get really good players from Power 4. You can get busts from both of them. The Badgers' best player in the portal over the last couple of years is maybe Mason Reiger. They got him from Louisville. But the Badgers are also going to ODU to get their quarterback. So I don't know if there's a perfect way. I think it's going to be interesting to see if this is a trend. Are they targeting Power 4 guys? I will say this. If you get the right type of Power 4 guys that are coming from Ohio State, they're coming from, schools that are accustomed to winning, that's a good thing. I think that's valuable because those players have been getting reps against the best in the country, right? They've been repping against high-level starters. I think that's helpful. I think there's less of a sticker shock, less of a culture shock when you suddenly see a bunch of really good players if they've already been doing it. Dynasty Lions telling Badger fans to relax. You'll never be that lucky with threes again. We got a Michigan fan chiming in here. I wanted to put this comment up. Normally, I would just ignore it, but it ties into the point I made before. It's not lucky when you're hitting open shots. That's the thing. And again, I do think too many people are fixating on, well, we hit shots, so we won. I hope if we don't hit shots, we're going to lose. If you continue to execute, manipulate defenses, and find open looks and to engineer open offense and good shots, you're going to hit a lot of them. This team's going to shoot well if they get looks like that. Period. I think it's as simple as that. So I don't think it was lucky. I think your defense couldn't stop Nick Boyd, and he put you in the blender. It's as simple as that. Jerry Johnson, would spend whatever is needed to get a big time pass rusher. How about your DVs? Let's talk pass rush for a second because I got this comment from a couple people. Are the Badgers going to be good enough rushing the passer? The first segment of this show, I talked about the defensive line holding up against the run. I do think they did enough there to be pretty good. Can they get to the quarterback? Because you are losing Mason Reiger. You are losing Darrell Peterson. Those are your two best pass rushers, period. Where I think they're going to get a boost next year, you're going to get a full season of Mason Posa. Mason Posa is a dynamic pass rusher. He's going to be really good there, I think. But then you got to count on a Nicholas Clayton stepping up. You got to count on a couple of the returning players to step up, and then maybe Junior Poyser gives you an interior pass rush. I think this is a valid question. I know they're after another edge. Gregory is a guy from Oklahoma State that's visited a couple places. They're definitely in on him. He would be a massive get. He was great at disruptive edge pressure last year. They're still after him. Texas is in on him. A few other schools are in on him. If the Badgers can land him, that would be a big get. If not, you might need Nicholas Clayton, who I think was one of the better gets in last year's class, to step up and fill that pass rushing role. I think he can, but it's definitely a question mark, and it's a good question mark. Jim James, he predicts a 7-5 season coming up. If they gel, maybe 9-3. I would be happy with either at this stage. I put this question up because that last sentence is interesting to me. And Jim, thanks for the comment, man. And in the chat, let me know, would you guys be happy with the 7-5 season? I think there's two ways to look at this. The first is the Badgers won 4 games last year. They've missed the bowl season. They missed the bowl game the last 2 years. 7 wins from a win-loss perspective is absolutely progress. You get to a bowl, you can show forward momentum. I think the other way to look at it is, given the context of the schedule, it should get much easier. 7-5 means you might go an entire year next year without a good win. Let's say you lose to Penn State, Iowa, Notre Dame, USC. I'm doing this off my memory. I'm trying to remember who else is on the schedule. You might go 7-5 next year, and your best win is like Minnesota. I don't know if a year of spending money, year 4 of Fickle, if you can go the entire season and just kind of say, we're just okay. Because 7-5 is just okay. It's slightly above mediocre. I think I would be disappointed with 7-5, but I'm actually curious. Jim James says he'd be happy with it. I get that perspective. I'm not saying that's a wrong perspective. I'm curious where people are at on a 7-5 season. I really, really am. Scott says, great win, possible turning point. I think it could be. I think the Michigan game, the next couple games are massive. January is a really big deal. There's a lot of winnable games coming up on the schedule. I can't wait to see what they do next. Can they extend that momentum? Can they play that hard? Is what we're seeing from Aluskas, is that real? Can we get Austin Rapp back? Can Braden Carrington continue to play well? Carrington's interesting, by the way. Going back and rewatching the Michigan game, there's moments where you're like, God, I love this kid. Like, I love the energy, the wingspan, the shooting. And then there's a couple moments in every game where I'm like, I don't know what Braden Carrington's doing right there. Why are you cutting right through the lane when Nick Boyd is driving, for example? There was one of those plays in the Michigan game. There's a couple moments every game where I absolutely love Carrington, and then there's a couple moments every game where I'm like, I don't know why you did that. But can he continue to build on that? Can Janicki start hitting shots? Is there going to be more from Kins? I think there's a lot of questions here, but I do absolutely think, to Scott's point, that could be a turning point of the season. Beach Bum. They play better and better chemistry without Rapp. Maybe. Rapp is tough to me because I do think shoot or shoot and Water finds its level. I believe in his shot. I do. Listen, I watched a lot of Rapp film before this year. I watched a lot of him from last year. Coach Gothier and I did a show on him. We broke it down, and we both said, listen, there's going to be defensive issues here, but he's going to be able to shoot. I think Austin Rapp coming off the bench, if he's hitting shots, is a big weapon for this team. He just hasn't really done it yet. And I think once he starts hitting shots, the chemistry will look fine because you'll open things up for other players on the team. And you also need a backup 4. You just need more size. And I'm not sure Garlock's going to be able to do that. So I definitely get up to this point. Beach Bum's not wrong. Rapp hasn't been great, but this team will be better if you get a good version of Rapp shooting the ball. If you can have him come off the bench as your 7th, 8th man, but he can hit some shots. He's hitting 35, 40% from 3. He's drawing people out. That's going to give you more depth in the front court. It'll give you some insurance for Aluskas, but it just continues what this offense can do, which is spacing the floor and letting Nick Boyd and John Blackwell work. So I think yes and no on this. I do think the version of Rapp that I still think we could see this year makes this team better. I truthfully believe that. I appreciate you guys so much on Wisconsin. We will definitely talk tomorrow.